Okay, welcome everybody. We're excited to have everybody join us today for our very first live podcast. Hopefully, everything from a technology standpoint is going smoothly on our YouTube channel. We are excited to have our guest today, Lindsay Wolf, who will be our host today, who is the Educational Programming Co-Chair, Dr. Jason Merriweather, Evan Austin, and we are hoping soon. Oh, yes, Nikki is joining us right now. We are having Nikki Joyner also join us. Who will be serving as our three keynote speakers at the 2025 NGLA Annual Conference in Baltimore. We'll be in Baltimore from February 20th through the 23rd, and we're excited to share with you today a little bit of a sneak preview of what we're going to be showing, some of our programs and some of the details of our keynote. So I'm going to hand it off to Lindsay right now and let her take over.
Hey y'all, thanks for joining us. My name is Lindsay. As Tom mentioned, I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Educational Programming Co-Chair for the NGLA Annual Conference. We are so excited to be heading to Baltimore in February, and we can't wait to introduce our keynote speakers to you in just a moment. Our NGLA Annual Conference is an amazing way to connect your collegians and faculty staff with larger fraternity and sorority vision. And we're super excited for our keynotes to help bring that to life. Again, the purpose of our episode, we're here to introduce our keynote speakers. They'll tell you a little bit about themselves and their program, and we're just super excited to have them today. So Jason, we'd love if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and your keynote.
All right. I am so glad to be here. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you, Tom. And shout out to the entire NGLA community, family, and all the sorority and fraternity members all across the world who are going to be in Baltimore with us live and in living color. We cannot wait. I'm excited to come in with you on Friday and have just a great conversation with everybody in the room about life. Now, I know we have a fancy title, but we're going to talk about life. We're going to talk about energy and staying engaged. We're going to talk about remaining motivated while staying relevant. We're going to go deep. Sometimes it's a little tough. Sometimes it's a little hard. We love our organization. We love our letters. But from time to time, we get worn out. So we're going to dig into the parts of ourselves and into the parts of our communities that are going to keep us vibrant, energetic, and ready to go. We'll tell you more later, but that is just a quick sneak peek. I hope you're ready.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jason. In terms of, your program and your keynote, what would you say some of the biggest challenges our leaders are facing in today's Greek communities?
I think that messaging is something that we will focus on because it's a challenge for us. Messaging, though, not outwardly, not how people perceive us, but messaging internally. We're going to talk about the way that we communicate with each other because our internal messaging, our why, our purpose, often face challenges. Internally within our organization, people don't always see. It's sort of like I told someone, I remember one day when I was in undergrad, way before social media, and I had to count change to pay for gas. I did this in college. I'm sure others did too. And I wasn't even on quarters, all nickels and dimes and pennies. And gas was only 78 cents back then, so it wasn't quite as tough, but it was still a rough day. And people on the outside just see me driving in a nice car. They see me rolling along, but they have no idea what I was going through on the inside just to count up those quarters and nickels. Oftentimes, our internal communication and the way that we approach each other, the way that we plan, and the way that we strategize creates those challenges where externally they may see us doing the philanthropy. They may see us at the service project. They may see us having fun at the party and doing all the cool things we do, winning the step show, especially if you're in A5A, let's go, and all of those things. But what people miss often is what we have to do internally to get to those processes. And so I want to focus a lot on internal messaging because it's a huge challenge, the way that we structure, the way that we plan, and the way that we strategize. After the internal messaging, one more quick challenge. I won't do them all, but I'll just do the top two. I think it's staying connected to the passion place that keeps us working and keeps us motivated. Oftentimes we get so bogged down in class, work, friendships, relationships, the boo up, all of those things get in the way of what we're here to do in our organization. And so we have to think about how we reconnect with that passion, with that energy, the thing that got us started, the thing that made us join, the thing that we were so committed to in the first place. How do we make sure we don't lose that? And how do we reinvigorate our own flame? But also, how do we connect with the people around us in our organization and in our chapters and in our council to keep that flame going?
Amazing. Thank you. I mean, perhaps you've touched on this already. I'm curious, what is a success strategy, perhaps that you've utilized that's been impactful in your own experience?
Oh, this is going to be fun. So one of the things that we're going to walk away with after our keynote, we're literally going to walk away with action items and strategy plans. And the point of success, my chapter in undergrad at the University of Louisville, I think sometimes people didn't even realize we had the most fun parties. We did. We really did. Now, we had the highest GPA too, and that was great. But we had really fun parties. Now, what we did, what people didn't realize, was we had a structure. We knew that from 9 to 10, who was going to work the door, who was going to dance with someone, who was going to be greeting people and laughing. We knew from 10 to 11, this might be the hour there are more people in, so these brothers will step. These brothers might do this and do that. Here's who's going to be working in the door. By midnight, if the party is really thick, we knew the old heads were going to come in and they were going to work the party. They were going to work the door and we were going to step. And then we knew at 12:15, that's when the slow song started. So, get with somebody and dance, all of those things. And even a party had a structure. And so one of the things that I want everyone to take away is the structure of connecting to your purpose and the structure of connecting to what your organizational mission and your strategy is at a chapter level. So you're going to actually walk away with things. Now, I don't know if you're going to text it to yourself. I don't know if you're going to put it in your notes. I don't know if you're going to write it on a piece of paper, or if you're one of those Android folks, you figure out what you do. I don't know. But however we make this work, we're going to have a lot of fun with it. And we're going to walk away with actual talking points to implement your own personal strategy to stay connected to your passion.
Thank you. And our final question, in your mind, from your perspective, how can leaders stay motivated and energized, especially when they face those setbacks?
I think we have to be honest about the challenge and be okay living with the moments where we failed. Failure is, my dad had a saying, his name was George Merriweather, and dad had a saying. He would say, the greatest 2 days of your life are the day you're born and the day you find out why you were born. And I use that, I'll talk about that all the time. And that's a fun one to talk about because it's all the energy, it's all the hype, it's all the good stuff. But daddy also had a saying, a broken clock is correct at least twice a day. We just have to have enough sense to look at the time at the right moment. And when daddy said that, I was about probably 32 before I figured out what he really meant. And with all that in mind, what daddy was saying was that we have to learn from our losses. Even in the worst of times, what can we take from it so that we can build up? And so I think that organizationally, if you have an event and, 10 people show up, well, those 10 people are there getting something from your organization. It's not a failure. But we may say, well, wow, the other chapter had 100 people. What did we do? If your rush or your new membership isn't quite what you wanted it to be, well, that's a failure. It's a loss. Well, how do you learn from it? How do you grow? So we're going to really spend time digging into those moments of failure and those moments of loss and understanding how do we go beyond that? How do we learn from it? How do we move in it so that we come out better personally and individually, but also so our chapters and our organizations come out better. We're working for something. We truly are working for something, right? We all are. We're doing this for a reason. And when we lose, just remember, you only fail to win if you don't play the game again. And we're going to talk about some strategies to get going again, even in our failures.
Just really wish you would follow me around and tell me motivational things because I feel empowered to go about the rest of my day. Thank you. We're so excited to have you at the conference. What can attendees expect to get out of your session?
3 things: clarity, good content, and most of all, something to celebrate. You're going to walk away with a clear sense of your own purpose and what you were doing and why you're doing it. You're going to walk away with clarity about where you're going. You're going to get good content, actually great content. Let me not sell myself short there. We're going to have great content all throughout the conference. Me and these other fabulous keynotes. Nikki, I can't wait to hear you. Evan, I can't wait to be in the room for you as well. But I say all of that to say that you're going to leave with clear content, something that you can use and something you can take back and apply to yourself personally and to your chapters and your councils. And just might get lucky enough there's something you can take back in life. You're also going to leave with something to celebrate. And that's going to be fun because I'm going to make sure that every person in the room walks away with something that they know has impact, has power, and has meaning on their campus, in their chapter, on their council, in their lives and beyond. I don't want anyone to walk away without something to celebrate. So we're going to give you those 3 C's. You know, I'm Southern and from Kentucky and a little bit country, so I speak in alliterations often. So we're going to send you away with those 3 C's, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But you're going to have real actionable, practical tools to take back and use. So be ready. Take notes. It's going to be fun.
Amazing. Thank you, Jason. We appreciate you, and we're so excited to see you at the conference.
Thanks, Lindsay.
Yeah. Next, I'd love, Nikki, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, and then tell us a little bit about your session at the conference.
Yes, so awesome. Well, thanks so much for having me, Lindsay. I'm super happy to be here today. For those of you who cannot see me on screen, I am coming at you live with my huge headphones today. Hopefully my microphone quality is just impeccable. I really just love these. They make me feel podcast focused. So super happy to be here. My name is Nikki Joyner. I use she, her, hers. I am a professional speaker in the career readiness space, and I am so pumped to be at NGLA, y'all. I have gone to this conference before. I've got to work with the amazing team from the conference planning team to the NGLA staff, and I'm just so happy to be on the big stage this year talking about something that I think really matters. So prior to becoming a professional speaker, I spent about 10 and a half years in higher education. So I worked at various college campuses and for a couple of different national fraternities, and then made the pivot to professional speaking and the corporate world. So for the past 3 years, I have been recruiting for the biggest bank in the country. So I've spent a lot of time helping college students figure out what they want to do with the rest of their lives. What does their future career look like? And how can we get them in a place that makes them feel comfy and confident? So that is really what my session is going to be about. I'm going to be spending about 50, 60 glorious minutes with everyone on Saturday. And we're going to be talking about how do you connect what you've been studying for the past umpteen amount of years. How do you connect that to what you're going to do when you leave? So we're going to be focusing on personal development. We're going to be focusing on professional development. You know, a lot of the focus points around how we want to live our lives is really going to be centered around this concept of positive psychology. So don't worry, we're going to be spending a lot of time talking about that. So don't want to give away too many details. But nonetheless, my session is really going to be about how do we measure success? How do we identify success? How do we measure success? And how does happiness play a role in the success that we have in our careers beyond college? Because, I mean, let's face it, students are spending a lot of time, a lot of mental energy, and a whole lot of money getting the degree that they're getting. So we want to make sure to set them up for success in tandem with their fraternity and sorority experience in a way that makes them ace the interview, in a way that helps them get the job that they want, and ultimately the fulfilling life that they want. So I'm super excited to spend some quality time with folks, really marrying these two topics of like fraternity and sorority and what am I going to do with the rest of my life, particularly in a space where I think we often don't talk about it. So I'm super excited to just be a little bit forward thinking and helping students figure out what they're going to do with the rest of their lives based upon all the awesome things that they're experiencing in college and in their chapters.
I love it. Yeah, you're going to spend 8 hours at a desk every day. You might as well do something you want to do, right?
That's right.
So I'm so curious from your perspective, how does happiness relate to life outside of college and help prepare you?
Oh, you know, I think this is so important. And oftentimes, you know, college students are getting the message, get the job, graduate, flip your tassel, get the job. And I spent a lot of years in jobs that I was good at, but that I wasn't happy in. So my goal is to really help students connect the focal points of happiness and success, because let's face it, people who love what they do are better at what they do. But people who love who they are while they're doing that thing that they're really good at help to connect and empower and build better communities around them. So my goal is to help students think differently about success, specifically around that concept of happiness.
Awesome. I'm curious, can you outline the 3 keys? Maybe give us a little sneak peek that you'll be focusing on during your keynote.
Oh, we love a good sprinkle, a little sneak peek. Let's go. Okay. So number 1, we are going to put into perspective, what is the difference between a job and a career? You know, a lot of times folks are like, you just need to get a job. You need to get a job. No, what we need to be doing is thinking about our career. Lindsay, you made a great point. Like, you are going to be with this job for a long time. You may marry another human being in your lifetime. You will also marry your career as well. So, you know, we really want students to think differently about the decisions that they're making to position them not only for the career they want, but the life that they want. So that's the first and foremost. We're going to talk about the difference between what is a job and what is a career, and what should we be focusing on in order to get to where we want to be. The second is we're going to talk about happiness and how happiness plays a role in your life as an adult. It is so easy to be happy when you've got brothers and sisters and siblings around you, and you're going to events, and you're putting on great, amazing philanthropic efforts, and you're recruiting new folks, or people are coming into your organization, and you're growing and you're expanding. It is so easy to be happy when you have great, awesome people around you. Nobody prepared me for what it would be like to be an adult and not have my sorority sisters around me all the time when I graduated. Nobody talked to me about that. Nobody prepared me for that. And I became extremely lonely. And I know a ton of other people that experienced that. So that's the second thing we're going to talk about, is like, what is happiness and how do we set ourselves up for happiness in a way that is like true to our core? And then number 3, which I think is so super important, is we're going to reframe success. If you were to look up success on Google right now, it's going to be a bunch of people that have their hands up in the air, like, you know, like at the top of the mountain or whatever it is, or like have fancy cars or lots of money or big houses. And I think in large part, a lot of students are taught that success equals power, success equals money, success equals things. And we're going to spend some time unpacking, like, what is your actual version of success? So that way you'll know once you reach it. I talked a little bit about this before, but I was fed this version of success when I graduated high school and when I graduated college, and when I got my master's degree. And all of those versions of success were like, go out and do the job and get promoted and reach for this one thing. And then once I got there, I was like, what next? So we're going to spend some time talking about what is success. I'm going to talk about my own version of success and give students a framework to think about what their version of success could be. So that, again, when they are doing all the things from applying to dozens of jobs, to interviewing for jobs, to potentially starting their own business or going off and getting another degree, whatever it might be, that they know what they're reaching towards, as opposed to other people telling them, this is what you need to be doing. But they're feeling really comfy and confident, knowing what phase in life they're walking in, and most importantly, the direction. So yeah, we're going to be talking about all things happiness, all things success, and then most importantly, the difference between a job and a career, which I hope is super eye-opening to folks that come.
For sure. I know for me, many of my student leaders are seniors who are getting ready to graduate. In your perspective, what would you say the role of mindset plays in that transition from college to the post-college experience?
Oh my gosh, mindset is everything, y'all. When I was making a career shift in my 30s, mind you, I started a whole new career. I went to college on deck for years and years and years to get this degree in higher education. And then I said, nah, just kidding. I don't want to do that anymore. So I transitioned into something totally different. And I applied for 491 jobs before I got the job that I have. Mindset was everything, because you are going to get way more rejections than you ever do yeses. You're going to get way more no's than you ever do yeses. So oftentimes I see students get a couple of no's in a row and they'd be like, oh, this just isn't for me. So we're going to talk about how to be confidently grounded in your mindset. We're also going to talk about the difference between an abundance mindset and a scarcity mindset. So the job market right now is a little scarce for college students. I'm not gonna pretend like it's not, but we're gonna talk about how to take what we're currently experiencing and put abundance into that so that we can in turn reap what we're sowing, i.e. the past 4 or 5 years you've been in college. We got to get something from that, y'all. Whether it's a new business, whether it's a job, a career, whatever it may be, we got to get something from it. So I think mindset is really everything. And the confident mindset. I see so many students day in and day out whose resumes are pristine. I mean, y'all, I will look at these resumes. I'll be like, wow, you had 3 leadership positions in your fraternity or sorority, or you are president of NPHC. Like, in my experience, I know what y'all do. So much stuff. And they're just underselling themselves. They are totally underselling themselves. They're coming into these interviews being like, and I would like run meetings and plan events. I'm like, we got to get you confident to get your mindset that like you are actually in a place that is excellent and great to make you an awesome candidate for whatever you want to do. So I think mindset, it just plays a huge role in so many different ways, but mindset starts with confidence. And at the core, confidence is about trusting ourselves. We can't get other people to trust us until we trust ourselves. Nobody is going to hire me if I don't trust myself. They're not going to trust me if I don't trust myself. And the job search process, landing in that first career is really about trust and marrying those two things together in a way that makes a lot of meaning. So overall, I would say mindset is everything. And good news is we're going to have maybe some sophomores, some juniors, some seniors, and it's never too early or too late to do the work that we're going to do in the keynote session. So I'm super looking forward to it. And I think mindset plays a really big role. So I'm excited to kind of integrate that into the career readiness conversation because I feel like a lot of times it's what's missing.
I love that. There's so many gems here. The happiness, playing the long game with your career. We're super excited. What would you say, like, key takeaways from your keynote experience?
Yes. So the first is we are going to really delve into the difference between a career and a job. We are also going to delve into the correlation between happiness and success. And marrying those two things together, I'm going to provide some practical strategies on what students can do in a way that can make meaning for them in whatever phase and state in life that they're in. You know, I've been to a lot of sessions around career readiness where people are like, network and apply and do the resume thing. And I'm like, okay, that's great and wonderful. But as a recruiter, I've spent a lot of time and energy seeing college students and college candidates for hundreds and hundreds of roles take that advice that they've been given and completely flop because they don't actually know what they want. They're just feeding into what other people told them they're supposed to be doing. So I'm really looking forward for that third takeaway to be some sort of clarity around like, I know what my next step is. You know, I might not know as a sophomore what my career is going to be, but I know that my next step is going to be some sort of journaling activity that Nikki recommended, or some sort of voice note activity. I love a good voice note, y'all. Or some sort of like reflective activity or conversation I need to have with someone that is close to me versus not close to me. So really taking this like pie in the sky idea of happiness, because it is different for everyone, and taking the pie in the sky idea of happiness and success and boiling it down is going to be that third kind of strategy focus, which I'm really excited about. So overall, I hope folks leave the session feeling energized. I hope they leave the session feeling engaged, and I hope they leave the session with a newfound sense of clarity around like what they're going to do with their life, because a lot of fraternity and sorority students have such impeccable and impactful experiences, and they are underselling themselves to get to the next place that they want to be in. So I would like to help with that. I would like to help people feel more comfy and confident with that. So that's what folks can expect. If you've been listening to the podcast, you know she's got some energy, okay? So you can also expect that. You can expect me to be bouncing around that stage. I hopefully will have a lapel mic so I don't have to hold it and I can use my hands because we love that. So ultimately, I just want people to leave feeling good about themselves and having a newfound sense of clarity about what they're going to do with the rest of their life in a way that is not your traditional stale career readiness session. So let's get into it.
Amazing. Thank you, Nikki. We love the energy as always, and definitely on a topic that is really pressing for many of our attendees. Thank you for doing that great work. Next, and certainly not least, we have Evan Austin. We're so excited to hear from you and get to know you and your experience and a little bit about your keynote session.
Yeah, I think I'm supposed to do a little bit of an introduction for myself. 6'1", buck 85, yeah, born in West Central Indiana. Wrong intro. Sorry. I'm Evan. It's nice to connect with you attendees or future attendees. I was a professional athlete for Team USA. I had the very distinct honor of representing Team USA at 4 Paralympic Games. I was a swimmer, so everyone likes to say like, "Oh, I go nuts for the Olympics, Paralympics." Like, no one goes nuts like the athletes. So I challenge my patriotism and my fanship for Team USA against anybody. But the reason I was able to be a Paralympian was because I was actually born with a physical impairment called familial spastic paraparesis. There will be a spelling portion, so you have to be really keen and listen intently. But in layman's terms, I was born with a neurological disorder that affected the way I walk. And there's just a lot of chaos that my brain causes my legs. So from a young age, I was forced to learn some unfair lessons uncommonly young. Looking back at my life now, while those lessons seemed harsh, and they were, there is some silver linings to every adversity that everyone has to deal with, regardless of a diagnosis or not. So, I got into the practice of practicing resilience very early in my life, just because it was a necessity. To get from point A to point B physically was a challenge all in itself, from dealing with intense surgeries and being on bed rest and realizing that you're different and not understanding why. What really challenging is, a 4, 5, 6-year-old kid. And so because I had my disability and I was in the practice of resilience so young, when I found the sport of swimming, having to test myself physically was second nature to me. So the grind and having to deal with the intensity of working out and ultimately dealing with goal setting and failing were all something that I was a seasoned veteran at already. I've been very blessed, like I said, to use that resilience and to use that don't quit mentality that I got from having a physical disability to put me on the world's biggest stage in sport. So I'm very excited to connect with the audience members at NGLA.
Amazing. We're so excited to hear your story and sort of your play on words of the weight of gold. Tell us a little bit about your keynote session.
Yeah, of course. The weight of gold, spelled W-A-I-T, for those of you that are still getting ready. It is a play. It's a pun. That's good in this business of professional keynoting, is to engage the audience. But it's really just a testament that, real success, worthy pursuits, take time. They are patient pursuits, and ultimately, you cannot realize true success that you define, whether it's a dream or a career or whatever it is. You have to lay the foundation for it, and you have to just build that road to a gold medal, brick by brick, and it takes just countless hours, days, and ups and downs, and you just have to ride the line. And so one of the things I love about my story is, a gold medal pursuit for me was a gold medal, but that I'm one in a million, but everyone's one in a million. Maybe your gold medal is to travel the world. Maybe it's to live in New York City. Maybe it's to be a first generation college student to get a degree. Those are gold medal pursuits. And those are things that your experiences and the life that you've lived have made for you, that you would define this as a gold medal in your life. And I'm just excited to share what my journey looked like, having a physical disability, knowing I wanted to represent my country, and ultimately, getting a crack at a Paralympic podium looked like, and how you can take some of my life experiences and apply them to you to understand that this is going to take time, but we can make meaningful, momentive progress every single day if we're intentional about how we're going about that.
Well, we're super excited. Sort of on your topic, in terms of resilience, How do you define resilience, and why is it so essential in the pursuit of excellence?
Again, I think Nikki said if you Google it right now, it would say, something. I think it is to withstand, but I think the second part of the definition, which has always been more important to me, is to recover, to get back to a baseline, to be able to start again. And as a swimmer, that's the name of the game. We push our bodies to the physical limits every single day, because if you can't do it in practice, there's an ideology that you definitely can't do it during race day, right? So I spent, I don't know how many hours staring at a black line at the bottom of a pool, going from one wall to the next and then back again, hundreds of thousands of times. And the moment that I got out of, pushing myself and being at the very brink of my physical capability, the objective was, how do I get myself recovered enough to do it again tomorrow, and then to do it again the next day, and then the next day. And I think that is what resilience is it's not just being able to take a punch or be dealt a blow and deal with it. It is that you learn, you recover, you rest, you reflect, so that when you start this journey again, which every day is a new beginning, that you are ready, that everything that has happened to you up to this point has helped you recover, that you know exactly what you need, so that your journey is a little bit easier from then on, right? And I think resilience for me it's not only just about withstanding, but about recovering and getting yourself as prepared as possible to go again and again, because life is just a series of questions between doing the right thing and the easy thing. And resilience has always been, my most used tool in doing it the right way and doing the right thing every single day.
Yeah, emphasis on the recovery and the reflection. What role has resilience played in your life in critical moments?
I mean, again, it is one of my, if not most valued virtue. Again, when I was born with a physical disability, I found myself asking frequently, well, why am I different? Why is this happening to me? I have an older brother who is completely able-bodied, and I just remember spending a lot of time and days and just whole years of my childhood thinking, why didn't my older brother get the disability, and why wasn't I the able-bodied one, right? And so I had to deal with self-confidence issues and self-identity issues, and I struggled to make friends because I was different, and so I spent a lot of time isolated and lonely, and people don't know enough about the disability community, and so even just being out with my family, you see parents kind of pull their kids away because they don't want to intrude or get in the way. But as a kid, that was just so lonely for me, and so resilience, it was what got me through it all, really. I mean, it's also, resilience is something that you can share. It's contagious, and there's community in resiliency. And one of the things I'm most proud about being in a Greek organization is that I was sought out, as an asset when I arrived on campus at Indiana State my fall semester freshman year, because I ended up joining Pi Kappa Phi. We're the only fraternity who owns and operates their own philanthropy, and the heart of the philanthropy is serving people with disabilities. And the men of Pi Kappa Phi saw me as someone that could provide perspective and growth opportunity and resilience to this organization, to this body, not just at our chapter, but across the nation, in which we're trying to serve as many people with disabilities as possible, Evan. And we need your experience. You've got to this part, and we want your story. We want the fact that you've had to bleed and deal with these things, so that we can do better as Greek men to serve a community that we're trying to help, right? And so I just love that resilience has been paramount and so forward in my life. And if I can make these students and this body and the audience at NGLA understand that I don't have a secret formula for resilience. I'm just here to remind you that you already are resilient, and that there's real strength in who you are and your experiences and what you provide to your team, to your Greek organization, and to the people that are on your side and you're on theirs. And resilience is a part of all of that.
sort of shifting gears from resilience, I'm curious from your perspective, how do sacrifice and failure also contribute to that growth?
Yeah, I'm an athlete, and all my stories are in the world of swimming. I have exactly one gold medal, exactly one. But I can't even count the number of times I have failed to win a gold medal. Okay, that's just part of it. You lose often. It is required in the pursuit of success. You have to fail, because that's when you learn the most. That's where you have the greatest growth opportunities, and that's where your resilience gets challenged. That's, the practice of resilience comes from failure, not from successes. And sacrifice, again, worthy pursuits mean you have to prioritize that over a lot of different things. There were countless times, even in my undergrad experience, when I wanted to socialize and hang out with the men at Pi Kappa Phi, but they all knew I was trying to make my first Paralympic team in 2012. And so they would tell me, Evan, you have to go to bed because you have to be in the water at 5:45 tomorrow. Okay. So you have to say no. You have to metaphorically stay in your lane a lot of times. And that requires you to be all the way in on whatever it is you define as your gold medal pursuit. And that's challenging, but it is a necessary tool, not just as a student, but as a professional. Later in life, you have to be able to say no to some things, because this is what you want the most, right? You can't just be everywhere all at once. And we have a phrase that you can hear it on Parks and Recreation. Ron Swanson says, you can't half-ass two things, you can only whole-ass one. And, I'm a believer in that. And so while you can have your hand in a couple different cookie jars, there has to be one main thing that you're willing to prioritize above everything else. And sacrifice is just going to be part of the journey if you have a high-level goal and a worthy pursuit.
I love the idea of your brothers holding you accountable to get up early. If you are one of my students, take note. I'm curious, will the gold medal be in attendance with us in Baltimore?
In this business, I think we're supposed to deliver some cliffhangers. I guess you'll have to show up and find out. So,
I love it.
It could be. I know where it is, but whether it makes the journey to Baltimore, you will have to wait and see, and you'll definitely have to attend all of the keynotes, but definitely my keynote to maybe have a crack at taking a picture with it.
I'm on the edge of my seat. What would you say, in addition to potentially seeing the gold medal in person, are the takeaways from your session?
One, I think the most important thing is hopefully the students and members of the audience that attend my session, they have a greater understanding that they have a lot more value on the teams that they belong to. Again, when I was dealing with the worst parts of my diagnosis, I get emotional talking about it, so please forgive me if I start to get choked up. When I was 6 years old, I had a very intense surgery that essentially paralyzed me for about 6 months. It was in the middle of the summer, and I just remember being able to look out the window, and I wanted to be a kid. I just wanted to play. I just wanted to be like my older brother. I just didn't want to be connected to all this medical equipment and having my vitals checked often, and I wanted to be able to move and be free. The organization that I joined, Pi Kappa Phi, again, we're an organization of college-age men that try and serve people with disabilities across the nation. If I had known there was a group of college-age men who didn't know who I was, but were on my team, it could have completely shifted the way that I saw myself and how I viewed what I can contribute, even as a kid. So I hope that everyone understands you don't know the true value, and you're way underselling yourself on what you bring to the world and the teams that you're a part of, just by being you, by showing up, by being a member of that organization, of that squad, of that leadership council. You provide so much more just by being alive and by being you. And two, I think the most important thing is, on the topic of resilience, everyone that attends my keynote, they're undefeated. We are undefeated in showing up and waking up every day. Every day you've gone through whatever experiences and trials and plight that your hand dealt you, and somehow you figured out a way to shut off the alarm in the morning and be here. You talk about baseball, and again, I'm a sports athlete guy, and so if you bat 1,000 in baseball, you're a Hall of Famer. You're the greatest baseball player of all time, right? And everyone that attends my keynote is undefeated. That's resilience. In showing up every day and being alive and being here and having a chance to impact somebody else's life, that cannot be undervalued. And I hope that audience members, again, know the value that they bring and have a better understanding that, wow, I'm way more resilient than I thought. I'm undefeated in life. This is awesome. And so I'm very excited for my story to remind our audience members of all that.
Amazing. Well, thank you all so much for sharing about your sessions. And there's so many amazing things and experiences that fraternity and sorority really spans beyond just our collegiate years. And so I'm so thankful for you all to get to share some of that perspective with our attendees in February. The NGLA Annual Conference in February in Baltimore is an incredible way to build those skill sets that, while yes, you're attending due to your fraternal membership, can span beyond just the chapter experience. So there will be sessions on clarifying your leadership style, how to market and use social media for the betterment of your organization, and how to represent your own personal brand well. There's sessions on how to uplift and celebrate the many culturally based organizations on your campus and to really have unity and mean it. And so we're super excited for the annual conference to be an opportunity for those collegians to sort of have a training ground, a opportunity for our collegians to test out the waters of those skills, like our experiential ed block sessions and extended ed block sessions, where you'll have longer time with our presenters to hone those skills and really dive into who you want to be as a leader. We saw so many program submissions on personal development and wellness, and we know that those are key areas that our students are looking for more support in. So we're super excited to share more program opportunities in the ways that you can build your own resilience, support members in your community who are experiencing forms of interpersonal violence, or even just work on your own mental health as a stressed out college student. And so we're super excited to see you all in February. In just a few months, I can't believe. I'm curious from our team here, if you have any advice that you would give an attendee coming to the annual conference.
Okay, so I was like, am I going first? So I would say 3 things. Come ready to learn. I believe that if you've listened to my colleagues, I want you to know I will be first and front row for both of you, Evan and Nikki. I really am so moved. So come ready to learn. I think that there's going to be so much information from these keynotes, but also from all the other sessions that Lindsay mentioned a moment ago. The way that when you go in these sessions and other professionals or professional speakers or students or chapter leaders or advisors present, there's always something there for you. Please come ready to learn. Second, this is really important, and we don't think about this as conferences as much as we should. Come ready to teach. Understand that you all, every single student, advisor, organization professional, if you're at nationals, if you're a consultant, if you're a grad chapter advisor, you bring something important to the table as well. That moment in a session when you raise your hand and you say, hey, this is what I experienced on my campus. Just recognize that someone's going to hear that and say, oh my gosh, I thought I was the only one. And you're going to give life to them and you're going to give credence to them. And that's going to be really, really significant, because you're going to create a moment in a situation where someone has agency and you get the opportunity to do that just by teaching and sharing. You're also going to give people like us something that we may not have known or we may not have thought about as well, because we don't have all the answers. But if we get with you, all the answers could very well be there. So come ready to learn, come ready to teach. And here's the fun one for me. Come ready to be yourself. Come to this conference with your own lived experiences. Come to this conference with your energy. If it's low, if it's high. You don't have to be a gregarious extrovert. If you're an introvert, come as you are. Be who you are. Every person out there, I want you to know your best asset is simply being who you are. So come ready to learn, come ready to teach, and come as you are. Come and be yourself. It's really important. So I think those three things will set you up for complete success at NGLA. We can't wait to see you in Baltimore this February.
Love it. I also love this question, y'all. So as I think about one thing that I wish someone would have told me the first student conference that I went to, they were just like, go and absorb everything and have a good time. And I was like, okay, I could do that. But I didn't, after it was over, I was like, I don't know, like, how do I like measure, was that successful? Did I do what I was supposed to do? Did I make them happy? Did I get out of this what I needed to? So my biggest piece of advice for you is I want you to be able to answer 2 questions before you go, and then the same 2 questions after you leave. So the 2 questions that I would love for you to be able to answer are what you're looking for and what you can offer to other people. So what you're looking for, if you are a student leader in a programming position and you're like, I'm going to this conference narrowly focused on X, or I'm really looking for some ideas in order to increase our engagement in our philanthropy events. That is something that you're looking for. Build your schedule around that. Build your intentional time around that. Build your lunches around that. It's so easy for people to sit with people that they know. You don't have to do that, friend, right? Like you can sit with other people. You can connect with other people. But the first question you need to be able to think about before you go is what you're looking for. And the second that I think was so beautifully put is like, what can you offer? Just because you are a participant at this conference, whether you are a student, an advisor, a volunteer, whatever it may be, you have something to offer as well. So as you think about the sessions that you're in the exhibitor area that you may visit, some of the vendors, again, during the meal times, even during some of the activities, like what can you offer? What is your zone of genius? What is your area of expertise that you can bring to other people in a way that helps them feel validated or more comfortable or more confident or just like an idea generator, right? So as you're thinking about going to the conference, what you're looking for and what you can offer. So then when you're done with your conference experience, you can then answer the question, did I get what I was looking for? And was I able to offer advice or add value to at least one other person? And if you can answer yes to both of those, then the conference was absolutely worth your time. So then what you need to do is go back to your advisor and say, yes and yes, I did this thing. So you sent 5 of us this year. Can you send 10 next year? So that's how we make that happen. That's how more people get to experience the amazing and awesome experience that you get. It's not just by being like, yeah, this was fun, or like I met new people and I loved it, or I stepped outside my comfort zone, but like these are tangible things that I got out of it and tangible things I was able to contribute to it. So for those of you taking notes, what are you looking for and what can you offer? That would be my biggest piece of advice.
Yeah, you get to go last after 2 amazing keynoting professionals and like know all the good advice is taken. My 9 to 5, in addition to the keynoting thing, I work in philanthropic development. And so one of the things that I would encourage from, kind of my other full-time professional pursuit is I would encourage everyone that attends NGLA intentionally seek connection in whatever way that makes sense to you. Again, we heard Dr. Jason say, come as you are. If you're, kind of a shy person, there's usually flocks of shy people that you can just kind of coexist with. And what are you looking to, what do you offer? Nikki just said that. You will find people who want to have conversations if they're trying to offer similar things, right? So intentionally seek connection. And the one thing I would say is, in my line of work, we're always trying to find a central thread, something that can start the conversation and then provide us an alleyway to talk about more things as we get to dialogue about this one central thread. Central thread is we're all in attendance at NGLA, right? That is something that is going to bind everyone together. So you will have at least a reason to say, where are you from and what brought you to NGLA? That is a conversation starter. That is a connection starter. So I would just encourage everyone. There's so much power in who you know, not what you know only, right? And so intentionally seek connection when you're in attendance, not just with the people that you showed up with, but with everyone in attendance.
So much good advice. I agree. I think having the opportunity to just branch out and meet some new people, the number of students of mine who go to conferences and come back and say, I met someone from this other chapter and they have the same problem, and getting to have that camaraderie, I think, is really important. So if you're listening to this and you're like, wow, I really want to go to NGLA Annual Conference, they have sold me. What you're going to do is go to ngla.org. Head to our annual conference tab, and there's lots of information there about the sessions and the schedules for our conference. If you're a campus-based professional listening, we do offer a quantity discount for sending 10 attendees. So it's a great opportunity to get those council leaders and chapter leaders engaged in some education and come back to your campus and continue to work and do the good work. And again, registration is open until February 12th. And there's lots of time to register, but certainly the earlier you get to register, the more time you have to plan and start to take a peek at the schedules and our presenters once those are released. So you can start planning out your visit to NGLA in advance. Well, y'all, we're super thankful for you to share about your sessions, for you to brag on NGLA, and we love you for that. And we're just super excited to see you in February in Baltimore. Thank you so much for spending some of your day with us.
Thank y'all.
Bye.
Bye,
Thank
y'all.
you so much.